Hi, this is Mark Waid, writer of Superman Birthright, and you're listening to Krypton Report.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird!
It's a plane! It's the Krypton Report!
Host Tyler, and welcome to Krypton Report, a podcast dedicated to all things Superman, Supergirl. We're going to look at the Supergirl TV series as well as the Krypton TV series, anything that has to do with the characters in their world. Comics, movies, TV shows. We will talk about everything and anything. We are part of the Southgate Media Group podcasting network. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, at Krypton Report. You can also email us at kryptonreportpod@gmail.com. If you get a chance to go over to iTunes, Apple Podcast, please leave us a review to help us get better. You can find me personal at JTYPatrick on Twitter and everything else. You can buy a Krypton Report t-shirt at tpublic.com. Check it out. They have all sizes, colors, styles of shirts. Just go to tpublic.com and search Krypton Report, and you'll see our logo. And every time you buy a shirt, it helps support other podcasts from southgatemedia.com. Thank you. Enjoy the show.
Yep.
Welcome to Krypton Report. This is the next one of our catch-up episodes. I am Tyler, your host, as your Superman Blue. And with me, as always, fighting crime, defending the innocent, fighting for truth, justice, in the American way, is Mr. James Cole, the Superman Red.
Hello.
Welcome, James. What's funny is, so Solomon got this Superman versus Doomsday book from the library, and he's loving it, and so much that he read made Junia read it to him before bed.
Oh, yeah?
And now he's like, I want to watch Doomsday. So I put in Superman Doomed for him. He's upstairs watching it with my wife, getting ready to go to bed. So
oh, nice.
He's like, which one's Doom? He's like, watch Doomsday, Daddy. I'm like,
excellent.
Hey, quick news that we forgot to kind of discuss last time is I guess Henry Cavill has been talking with Christopher McQuarrie, the director of the last couple of Mission Impossible movies, since they just finished up Mission Impossible 6, about doing the Man of Steel 2. What are your thoughts on this?
I have enjoyed the last few Mission Impossible movies, the last couple Mission Impossible movies that he's worked on. I'm excited to see Fallout. And, I mean, he's definitely got a good eye for the extreme visuals that, would be required for Superman. And, I mean, I'm hoping a Man of Steel 2 is close to being added to the slate. And absolutely.
I do too. I hope it's something maybe we'll see it from Comic-Con. I don't have a problem with Christopher McQuarrie. I've seen, a few of his films. He's done a lot of writing. I've been impressed with his action. And obviously, I mean, Tom Cruise is a superstar, quote unquote, and but he's worked with him multiple times. And then Cavill just worked with him and seemed to like him, or else he wouldn't be talking with him. So, and we all know that Cavill's passionate about the character and bringing the character back and really continuing on what he set up in Justice League. So yeah, I'm cool with it. Not who I would have picked, but definitely not a bad choice at all.
Yeah, Henry Cavill is very passionate about playing Superman. It's great to have somebody with that much passion who loves playing such an iconic character. And I mean, even with what he's been given as kind of how uneven it's been, kind of just the beginning, and then the death, and then the kind of campy resurrection. What he's been given, he's done a great job with. And, I hope another standalone movie, he'll be given a lot more to work with. And, he's definitely the new generation Superman, and he's been great at it.
Exactly. And then
I like.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna. I like the responses he gave at CinemaCon. Every outlet that asked him about that were talking to him about Mission Impossible obviously brought up playing Superman again, and he had to give the same response to like 3 or 4 different outlets that he's been in talks and they're trying to talk to people who make those kind of decisions to add it to the slate. And it was just the same thing like 3-4 different times to different outlets.
I mean, the guy wants to do it. Let's let him do it, you know?
Oh, big time. If he has the passion for it, you know, he obviously does. I mean, just to get in physical shape to be Superman, you know, which, you know, he's done an amazing job with that as well.
Yes, he has. Now, the other big news, which is multi-layered, is they officially announced the DC streaming service, which they are calling DC Universe. We don't have a date of when it's launching, but we got the logo for Titans, Young Justice Outsiders, the Harley Quinn animated series, and then they announced another live-action, only on DC Universe show that's going to be produced by James Wan as Swamp Thing.
I am really excited about that. I used to watch the movie and the TV show with my grandpa back when I was a little kid, and I watched the animated series as it was short-lived. And Swamp Thing's always been an awesome character, and he's in you know, especially media like movies and cartoons and stuff. He's been underutilized, and he's a great character.
I totally agree with that. He has been underutilized. I was a little disappointed by his limitedness in Justice League Dark. Once you get into the green and the red and the rot, it's really interesting. And I love James Wan. So I'm really excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, well, definitely with James Wan's history in the horror genre, you know, the dark, the swamps, you know, possibly even like eco-terrorism type stuff. I mean, it could definitely be an interesting show. Looking forward to seeing what comes out of it.
I agree. So here we go. We're going to get into it. We're going to start, and we're going to discuss Krypton's 6th episode, Civil Wars. So I guess it is General Zod. You know, we had talked last time that we were a little shocked that it was, you know, General Zod and not, you know, straight up who it is, but yeah. So what are your thoughts on it being?
Well,
Adam says it's General Zod, Superman's greatest villain.
Yeah, I mean, Adam seems to confirm it that it's General Zod. You know, the actor is great. His portrayal, coming out as Zod, you know, kind of saying who he is, saying how much he respected Seg's son, and then no matter the differences, you know, the reason that, you know, Kal-El turned his back on Krypton, you know, I think that's kind of, you know, that's his outlook on it. Obviously, we all know no different, you know, from Kal-El's point of view, but his outlook, he's doing a good job, and I think the way he was talking, he sounded manipulative. You know what I mean? Trying to give information that Seg doesn't know about the future to try and, you know, manipulate him in that present time.
So I agree, because what we learn here is that we learn that Adam didn't exactly know all the details of the time-traveling villain, and that the villain was not Brainiac that was time-traveling, but it was Zod. So the Brainiac that we are dealing with is the Brainiac of this time.
Yeah, it was just a pretty big revelation of the season. You know, it's the 6th episode, and the entire time it's believed that Brainiac has come back to stop Kal-El, when it's actually he's just there. It's the history where he does take Kandor City.
Yes, and it's because of taking Kandor that starts to shake the core of the planet, thus causing, the destruction of Krypton. We do get a Hall of Justice reference.
Well, at least that's what Zod says is the taking Kandor City was the reason for it. I mean, that could easily be a manipulation of Seg.
Oh yeah, we're going to go with it for now, but yeah, it's possible, but it could be true. I mean, in a lot of ways, people have said that Michael Shannon Zod in some light could not be the villain, depending on your point of view. I still don't understand why he wanted to destroy Earth and make a new Krypton when they could just adapt and live on Krypton like gods, and raise a whole new generation of Kryptonians on Earth that have amazing powers. But whatever. We're still trying to figure out how the lineage of Zod being Lyta's son and everything, and how the names work, and who the father is. So we're going to that's just something to keep kind of in our mind as we go through this episode and this little arc continues, see if we can piece some things together.
The curious thing about the lineage there is, he's General Zod, but wouldn't, if she were to marry somebody, say Deb M, wouldn't she be an M at that point?
Yep.
Or do they just take the name of or is it like the higher ranking name?
See, that's
is the one that is carried over.
All right,
I don't know.
So this is kind of jumping ahead in my notes here, but we learned that Darren Vex married into House Vex. So he wasn't a Vex before, and we learned how, Seg was going to be dubbed a Vex, and everything. So I mean, we're kind of learning as we go and kind of piecing it together about who, what, how the lineage and the name system works. So we're just going to kind of keep our eyes peeled for clues and everything as we get closer, through all of this season.
Yes.
The next big thing I have is, first of all, I am going to just state this up front. I hate the capital of Krypton is called Kryptonopolis. Okay, I think it's stupid.
Yeah.
Kryptonopolis or Krypton, however they want to pronounce it, I think it's horrible. Okay? I just think it's bad. But we see that they're trying to get Dev M onto their side of helping with the coup, along with Primus, to save Lyta. We hear Zod talk about Kal negatively, and that angers Adam, but then Seg is kind of leaning more towards Zod's side when Seg finds out that Adam didn't so much come to stop Krypton from being destroyed in the future as much as at the moment to save Superman, and that kind of causes a problem between the two of them.
Yeah, the him telling him that Krypton was going to be destroyed in 200 years. That really drove a wedge in between the trust he had for Adam at the time.
And you know what? This this season is, I don't know if I want to see Adam Strange carried over into a second season, because I feel like they're not really giving him anything to do. At the moment, they're not really making him Adam Strange. You know, it's like, this is a chance to introduce a new character and do something, but right now, all we're getting is just a character named Adam Strange. Like, it could be literally anybody right now. So that kind of just like, let's make him more of the character. We see Jaina. We have a Sagittarius Guard officer that comes and's reporting on behavior, and Jaina has to take him out like a boss, which was kind of sad. But still no Black Zero. We have not really met anyone from Black Zero, and I'm starting to think, does Black Zero even really exist?
Yeah, it kind of seems like it's used as an excuse or maybe even a terror tactic from the Voice and the people underneath him to kind of keep people in line and him in power.
Exactly. So they've never been able to have any real evidence about its existence. Una is so sweet. She hugs Brainiac the Voice.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get into what the most interesting part, I think, in the episode is the symbol that's guarding the weapon that Zod is talking about is a sigil of the House of El and the House of Zod symbol imposed together.
Yeah. When I first saw it, I was like, that's obviously the L sigil in there, but until they got closer to it, I was like, well, that looks like the L and the Zod symbol overlapped.
And then, did you catch the reference that Zod makes about kneeling? They say, get down.
I don't recall it.
Kneel down, and he says, not a position I'm used to actually having to take, or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do recall that now.
And then we see what the actual weapon is that can destroy Brainiac, that's violent and destructive. And what was that weapon?
Doomsday.
And he looks sweet. Like, he's all frozen looking and encased in ice, but he looks like Doomsday. Like, he looked good. Bones out and everything.
Yeah, he had bone protrusions in his face. The way his arms were crossed, you could see the bone protrusions from his arms. His face looked a little more, I don't know, maybe a little more closer to the comic book adaptation of Doomsday's face. Little less, I guess, Ninja Turtle, as people have referenced Doomsday from BBS.
I just got mad that I wish he wouldn't have got to be basically look like a little giant electric circuit and just had grown more bones. Like, he just had bones ripping out of him more as they fought him, and he didn't turn into an electrical looking monster. The electricity thing is what really bugged me about it.
I mean, it didn't really bug me, the I don't know, the energy projections that he had going on. But, I mean, that was odd just to see how it kept, just blowing up like that, bigger and bigger. I did think it was odd. It was something new to my knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought when they were doing Doomsday, and from the early shots of what he looked like, I thought that in the fight, as Superman and Wonder Woman were hitting him, I would have thought that maybe as they were hitting him, bones were breaking, things like that, and protruding. But each time he got hit, he would become stronger. Yeah. And that the bones would just keep popping out, and by the end he would look more more spine, razor sharp bones sticking out like bone protrusions.
And I agree with you. That's kind of where I thought it was going. But, we got what we got. And then, of course, General Zod gets shot and is injured, and they're escaping. And what did you think about the end, the final scene?
That was pretty wild. It kind of reminded me just a little bit of Brainiac on Smallville, using his liquid metal type tentacles to get people in the head,
Yep.
But the way it was just like mass, they were there to assassinate the Voice, and the Brainiac sentry in him. He was like, nope, ain't having this, and boom.
It takes them all out in the mind. Like, he just, I was like, wow. It was intense.
Right. The one thing I did like about this Doomsday was he wasn't like as giant as the Doomsday in the movie. Like he was much bigger than people. He was maybe 2-3 people, like large, in stature.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't like monstrous, like 12, 13 feet tall like he was in the movie. And also it makes me curious about because that changes the history, the comic book history of him being out in space for 250 million years.
Well, I mean, this could be a Doomsday, because it's been stated before that it was what do you call it, like a Kryptonian defect, or it was an ancient Kryptonian thing, and so I mean, it could be just a different, not the Doomsday that
kills Superman.
Right.
Yeah. I thought that if it was say that Doomsday, that like the destruction of the planet, like the creature being more powerful than that would, it would send him hurtling through space and crash on Earth, 30 some years or whatever after the destruction of Krypton. And that would be the time when it becomes, comes to the death of Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Just in this version, this timeline.
Yeah. I mean, so it ends in a cool place, and definitely I feel like it's going to kind of segue into the next one directly. But yeah, I liked it. I mean, this is probably, as of right now, has been my favorite episode, just because I feel like it gave us a lot more of like history, character familiarity, and just kind of felt more like the show that we want to see. If that makes sense. It kind of furthers the direct story. Last one there was a lot of history, and it gives us the answers to the questions we were asking about already. So that was,
it raises more questions about Adam.
Yes, it does. What he knows, what he doesn't know, what he's doing, and if he, what has he told us that maybe is not so truthful? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Seg in this episode told him to ride his Zeta thing back to where he came from. I think that was something similar to the quote.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, let's jump on in. We're going to switch gears a little bit, keep on the Kryptonian, but we're going to talk about Supergirl and her episode In Search of Lost Time. So, Supergirl, blah, blah, blah. All right. Now, this episode One thing we forgot to mention when we talked about Shot Through the Heart is Marin, Jean's father, is basically developing Martian Alzheimer's. He's forgetting things, and I think it's just extremely sad. Because this starts the beginning with, what do you call it? They're playing charades and everything and having a good time, and there's things that you can just see, like in the subtleties of the acting about, Marin and what he's suffering. And one thing I really liked was crap, why am I drawing a blank? They make a joke about when Jean was little, he used to blame stuff on his invisible friend, who was a fifth-dimensional imp named Zook.
Oh.
I almost was like, if he was going to say Mr. Mxyzptlk or something, I was like, what? But I thought that was cool. About Zook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the acting in this whole thing, from Jean's father to Jean himself, and the relationship that they have with Alex in this whole thing, because Alex was the one who determined that he was having these memory problems.
Yeah, and David Harewood, and I can't ever remember his name right now, the actor who plays Marin. I had it written down, but I can't find it. This is great acting from them. Like, this is emotional, like, heart-beating, heavy acting.
Yeah. And there's a very good a relationship between those two. But then there's also the relationship between David Harewood and Alex.
Yes,
they're so close. They're almost like a father and daughter relationship. A little less boss and more agent and soldier kind of thing. They definitely have a familial bond, and that shines through with her concern for Jean's father, and John, and the concern for Jean that he's going to have to deal with this.
Exactly. So that's kind of part of the episode and then the setup. But one of my favorite parts in this episode is at the beginning, where Supergirl's going to go into action and everybody looks over and she's like slowly unbuttoning her shirt and she says, "What? I like this shirt."
Yeah, I like that part.
I laugh because it is like, you think about, like, you rip open the shirt, like you just like totally destroy the shirt and everything.
Can you imagine the cost of buttons that Superman and Supergirl would have to go through?
Man, you know what? I would like have Velcro shirts or like something. Like, I would find a way. I'd be like, this junk ain't cheap. Now we see we'll kind of a character we haven't seen for a little while. Basically, gets a really strong arc in this one. Well, not really arc, but Lena. We see that Lena has Sam in a coma, and she's doing some research to try to find out. Because Lena, I love how smart Lena is.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, she still hasn't figured out who Supergirl is, but you know what? That's another story. But, she's trying to figure out what's triggering Sam to become Rain. And I love that she pulls up like this timeline of when Sam's blackouts are and the activity of Rain. But what I can't help but laugh is, can you not put two photos up like together? One of Sam and one of Rain? And be like, don't you kind of look, don't you guys look the same?
Right.
And
with shape-changing aliens and things like that, how can you just trust the picture?
I guess.
You know, definitive proof.
I really wish that the Rain mask was more like bone, like that, like her
Yeah.
face changed or whatever, and had like this protruding bone in it. It didn't just look like her with goth lipstick or something.
Yeah. The interesting thing about that, the change though, is Lena does say that her DNA changes.
Right.
That as Sam, she can be hurt, but then as Rain, she's so powerful she can't be hurt like that.
As long as they don't use black kryptonite to split her Kryptonian half from her human half, I'm good. Okay?
Absolutely.
But it also makes me wonder, are all the world killers Kryptonian based? Or are they just more like... Because Rain seems to be very based on Kryptonian powers. Like an anti-Supergirl. But the other two are different. They feel more like, for lack of a better term, science experiments. Kryptonian science experiments. The world killers, where they're made by that cult. But we get Wen makes the comment that he fixed Mon-El's old suit, and that the suit was made from studying, Supergirl and Superman's suit. And frankly, when he walks out full on suit, like his boots look better than Superman's boots. Like what they did with the Mon-El suit, I wish they would like the way the belt looks, the boots. And like just the added color of the blue streak. I wish they just reversed that in the Superman suit.
Mm-hmm.
Like give us that same kind of belt with different colors, and give us those better looking boots than you did for the Superman suit. And I really want Mon-El to meet Superman because I'm like really liking Mon-El this season. And
at this point he's the more experienced hero. In the second season, he was only there for a matter of months, and then he travels in time, and he is a hero with the Legion for 7 years.
Yeah.
So at this point, he's got 4 years more experience at being a superhero than Kara does.
And
so his character is matured.
Yes, and we'll bring that back up here in a minute with what Kara says. Side note, somehow they really need to have Phil Morris, the actor, appear in Supergirl in some relation to John. Like, if they could get him in here in some way, in a flashback or something before Marin is gone, those are like the 3 Martian Manhunters. The voice from the Justice League that I associate when I read a Martian Manhunter comic or a character, the current, and then the Smallville version. We just need that. But I like that they were like studying footage from the Supergirl and Rain fight, and how they were really analyzing her footwork and Mon-El, like just the way he talked about she's more of a raw, she's a creature, she's toying with her food kind of thing, and how she's acting towards Supergirl. I thought that was really cool. Like they're actually taking it up. Now we do see Marin and Jean talking, and Marin makes a joke about Zook. That was pretty funny that he had Jean like believing for a second. What is your thoughts on the Jimmy-Lena relationship?
It's nicer. It's kind of nice that they're giving Jimmy something to do. He kind of had fallen by the wayside.
Yeah, they've kind of like, it seems like recently moved away from Catco a little bit. It is weird because I feel like I need to I really can't wait to rewatch this entire season in one sitting, just because that break was so long that you forget little details. Mm-hmm. You remember the big stuff, but the small stuff. Now that Catco's owned by Elcor and everything, and then like they just basically tossed the Guardian stuff away. Like, there's like not anything with it. Like, I didn't really like it, but
right.
I just, from a character story, I don't feel like we ever went to a place where he decided to stop.
Yeah, no, it just seems to have definitely just gone in the background. They do have a mature relationship. They each discuss, having secrets that they can't be told, especially with Lena. and being who she is and in the position she is with business and everything like that, being Luther. But, Jimmy, and he can't really tell her that either, but Jimmy has his own secrets. Obviously Guardian is a secret of his, but also Kara being Supergirl is a secret of his. A secret that's not his to tell, but a secret nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly. Because, I can't remember if there's a line coming up, but I just can't remember which episode it was in. If it's on the new one I just watched, because I kind of was watching through all of them, which I didn't mean to. It just kind of happened. But
the thing I do like about Lena, you were talking about her intelligence and everything before. We with this episode, we finally get the answer to, did she see her eyes change before the break?
Mm-hmm.
And I think she did. I think when she saw the eyes and she said, "I know what's happening to you," I think she did associate Rain with her at that moment, and she needed to do what she is doing to confirm. But she does a really good job at this point, because Sam doesn't even believe her at this point when she's telling her that she's Rain, and she gives her the timeline and everything, and she pushes her, saying that she wouldn't let her see Ruby, that Ruby's not safe with her, and she pushed her to the point that she rained out, and she videotaped it. When Sam came back to, she showed her the tape.
I like that, rained out. That sounds sweet. Yeah, exactly. Because she had to see proof, and I don't know, Sam, just her whole actions and everything is kind of annoying me, but whatever. I just think she could be smarter.
She's in some serious denial. I mean, you might be too, thinking about you were the person who, literally dismembered these criminals and things like that, as they talked about earlier in the season, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I would be, but at the same time, I don't know, because she's giving some really good information, and you're already scared about, hey, what's going on with me? This timeline stuff's starting to make sense. Could this be real? Maybe not. But I just feel like Lena's doing everything she can and really doing well with it. So moving forward, I like when John comes clean about what everything his father's going on to Alex and Kara. And then Kara says, "My Uncle Jarrell used to say, the son becomes the father the son." I was like, well, in this instance right here, it makes a lot more sense than it does in the Superman movies.
It really does. It applies so much more.
Because I've always kind of had, that sounds cool, but at the same time kind of sounds dumb sometimes. You just got to have, the right context for it. And
yeah. It sounds really good, but the fact that, his parents died with the planet, it kind of seems just a little flat. But in the real world, as parents get older and they require more help, especially in Moran's case and John's case, Alzheimer's and stuff like that. You think nursing homes these days, when people get old and they require that help, I mean, that's the context that line comes from, but it kind of falls flat with Superman when his parents.
Yeah, I mean, they try to do something like in Superman 2, where depending on what cut you watch, Jor-El, the power of Jor-El in the fortress, revives Kal-El's powers. Okay. And then, we won't even talk about Superman Returns. But one thing we kind of skipped over, Mon-El knows how to fight with his cape, because his cape is smart cloth. and he's teaching Supergirl how to use her cape in this like really cool like kata type thing of learning how to fight with your cape. What do you think about the whole cape fighting?
I do. I think it's a useful tool in the fight. The best part I enjoyed about it was the hologram of her fight with Rain, trying to pick apart her fighting style and focus on weaknesses that she could exploit, especially with using the cape.
Yeah. I feel like they're going to have to find some sort of like big way of stopping Rain. It's going to be something more than just like hand to hand.
Yeah.
Now the other thing is what we learn is Marin is doing a Martian prayer technique that moves memories to the part of his brain that's functioning the best. But when he's doing it, it's letting out psychic bursts. Now, that was the catalyst that caused an issue at the beginning of the episode where Supergirl fought, I can't remember the alien type, in a photo booth, which was hilarious. Because they're really susceptible, because they're empaths to the psychic energy. And he starts doing it while he's at the DEO, because Jean brings him to the DEO, trying to think he can protect him. And then it causes Kara to kind of go off the deep end and fight with Mon-El. It causes Wynn and another agent to start fighting. It causes all the prisoners to get freed that are in the DEO. I thought that was kind of crazy, because like we got to see all these prisoners, and then just aliens we hadn't seen in a while. But my favorite line is when you hear a person scream "Winslow shot," and Wynn says, "Pam from HR?" And it's a very emotional when Jean eventually has to convince his father what he's doing, and his father basically starts running from him. Jean's trying to put some dampening technology that's to keep his brain from going berserk, but Marin will not allow it, and it's crazy,
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is Marin is farther gone than he even realizes. He's doing this Martian technique, and he doesn't even realize that his psychic waves are escaping. Like they bring that up that he would know if they were getting out of hand. And that's when he's denying him the dampening technology.
And there's a line earlier where Marin remembered the alien, the empath alien. He says, "I know I felt it." And then when John tells him again about it, he's like, "They're here?" Like he doesn't remember or know that they were actually, he was affecting that alien. So, and I mean, that's pretty much the episode there. It ends with Kara and Mon-El flying and a bunch of dead birds falling. Oh, that was a really interesting shot to end on.
Yeah. Signaling that pestilence is the next episode.
So,
what I did like in that episode, real quick, was we saw all those aliens that were captured escape, and the White Martian came out fighting. And John, last time he was fighting some White Martians, he got handed to him a few times before that. But this time around, protecting his father, he really gave it to that White Martian and put it down.
Oh yeah, he did, and I really love the story of the father and the son. Maybe because I'm a father with a son.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it gets to more so now than it would have before.
Yeah, it's a different thing after you have kids. Things affect you differently.
All right. So, what would you rate on a 10 scale? What would you rate this episode of Krypton? And then, what would you rate this episode of Supergirl?
Well, this episode of Krypton was a step up, a step in the right direction. Krypton is easily a 9.
I agree.
And then this episode of Supergirl, very good, very emotional, some good high action beats, and as a second episode in the return, a very strong episode, and I'd probably give it a 9 as well.
All right. That is our thoughts this week for Supergirl and Krypton. Stay tuned for some more information. And remember, look up in the sky. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Krypton Report. You can also email us at kryptonreportpod@gmail.com. If you get a chance to go over to iTunes, please leave us a review to help us get better.